The broadcast came without warning. One moment, the people of Earth were living their ordinary lives, working in cities, farming in the countryside, flying ships through the cold black of space. The next moment, every screen, every panel, every holographic display lit up with the same image, the proud scaled faces of the Threx Dominion. They stood in a glittering chamber of silver and gold, wearing armor studded with gems. Behind them, the banners of their empire hung high, the crests of 1,000 conquered worlds stitched into them. Their leader stepped forward, a towering alien with eyes like molten bronze, and when he spoke, his voice echoed with a translator's cold precision. "People of the third planet of Sol," he began, "we have watched you, we have measured you, and we have found you lacking." He paused to let his words carry their weight. "You are primitive, dirt-born, clumsy in your machines, loud and reckless in your ways. You speak of peace, yet your history is painted in blood. You believe yourselves strong, but you are only dangerous to yourselves. The galaxy has no place for your kind." Behind him, several alien generals smirked, their teeth sharp and gleaming. Laughter rippled through the chamber. The Threx leader continued, "From this day forth, the Dominion claims authority over your species. You will not speak in the council. You will not travel beyond your own star without our permission. Your ships will pay tribute when they pass through our space. And if you refuse," he leaned forward, his eyes narrowing, "we will teach you your place." Across Earth, millions watched in silence. On Mars, miners froze mid-swing, their drills humming. In the orbital stations above Europa, traders stared at the feed, mouths open. No one moved. The message ended, abruptly replaced by the symbol of the Threx Dominion, a clawed hand clutching a world. In the days that followed, the insults only grew. Threx patrols stopped human freighters in neutral space, demanding bribes to pass. A cargo vessel named Far Horizon was accidentally destroyed during a so-called routine inspection, leaving its crew drifting lifeless in the void. Footage surfaced of Threx soldiers aboard an alien port tossing human goods into the trash, laughing at the primitive junk. The Galactic Council, where humanity had only recently earned a seat, remained silent. Not a single representative spoke up for Earth. In the shadow of the Dominion, everyone feared to stand against them, but Earth did not forget, and Earth did not forgive. In a secure hangar buried deep under the Pacific Ocean, a ship that did not officially exist powered up its engines. The USS Vigilant, Earth's most advanced stealth carrier, slipped quietly from its dock and vanished into the black. No launch announcement, no press coverage, only silence. Whispers spread through the darker corners of the colonies. Black site shipyards under the frozen seas of Europa, deep inside the mountains of Mars and hidden beneath the sands of the Sahara, were working without pause. Forging something new, on Luna Base, a young officer named Commander Hale stood in the command center, watching streams of encrypted reports. Fleet deployments were shifting in ways the public could not see. Supply convoys vanished from official logs. Certain starports closed for maintenance with no explanation. Hal knew the truth. Earth was preparing, but not for a negotiation. In the Threx Dominion, life went on as usual, the insults toward humanity now almost a casual entertainment. Alien news broadcasts joked about monkey crews trying to fly Stone Age ships. In one crowded tavern on the Threx frontier world of Corellis, a young alien scout named Vorik laughed along with his friends, telling tales about his encounters with human freighters, how clumsy they were, how slow their reactors were, how they could never match Dominion tech. But later that night, while returning to his patrol vessel, Vorik picked up a strange signal on his scanner. It was faint, almost like an echo, and moving fast. Too fast. He adjusted his instruments, frowning. For a moment, the shape of something huge flickered across his display, a dark, angular shadow, and then it vanished. He tapped the console, thinking it was a glitch. But when he looked out through the cockpit glass, his heart froze. The stars ahead of him were gone. It wasn't clouds. There were no clouds in space. It was something else, something massive, something moving, blotting out the light of distant suns. The signal on his screen spiked, alarms shrieked, and the cockpit lights flickered. Vorik tried to open a channel to the nearest command station, but the comms hissed with static. He reached for the emergency beacon. "This is Scout Vorik. Sector Delta 7. I am detecting something. It's not on our charts. It's the signal cut mid-word. The transmission went dead. When the patrol station tried to re-establish contact, there was nothing. No response. No ship. Only an empty patch of space where Vorik's vessel had been, and the faint, lingering distortion of something impossibly large having passed through. Far away, on Earth, in a war room sealed from all eyes, a group of admirals and generals stood around a glowing map of the Threx Dominion's borders. None of them smiled. One of them leaned forward, his voice low and hard. "They think we are primitive," he said. "Good. Let them think it. By the time they understand what we are, their skies will already be dark." On the Threx frontier world of Keralis, the day began like any other. Its twin suns climbed slowly over jagged mountains, bathing the city's crystal towers in gold light. Merchants filled the open-air markets, alien children played in the streets, and the air was thick with the scent of spiced food. The Dominion's banners hung from every building, bright red against the sky. To the people of Keralis, the Dominion was unshakable, eternal. War was something that happened far away, too weaker. Species. No danger had touched their soil in centuries. That was why when the first shadows fell, no one understood what they were seeing. It began as a dimming of the sunlight. At first, the locals thought it was an eclipse rare, but not impossible. Farmers in the fields shaded their eyes and looked up, muttering to each other. But the shadow kept growing, swallowing more of the sky. Far too large and far too fast for any moon to cause, in the capital's skyport. Air traffic controllers froze at their stations. Their sensors showed nothing unusual. No incoming ships. No meteor storms. Nothing. And yet, sunlight was fading. Then, without warning, the comms exploded with frantic chatter from the outer districts. Civilians were reporting dark shapes overhead, massive, angular silhouettes sliding silently across the sky. They moved in formation, blocking the suns, their matte black holes absorbing the light instead of reflecting it. There were no transponders. No registration codes, no markings the Dominion recognized. In the central marketplace, a merchant's voice trembled as he pointed upward. Those are not ours." The silence that followed was heavy. The crowd stared at the sky, hearts pounding as the shapes resolved into something undeniable. Warships. Dozens of them. Colossal, alien in design, unlike anything the people of Keralis had seen. Their surfaces were smooth, broken only by weapon ports and strange patterns that seemed to shift in the light. They made no sound. No engines roared. No exhaust burned in the air. They simply glided, impossibly quiet. Like predators moving in slow circles above prey, in the Threx military command tower, alarms finally began to wail. Officers scrambled, demanding identifications, trying to hail the intruders. Every transmission was ignored. Their scanners, tuned to detect the most advanced Dominion stealth tech, found nothing. It was as if the ships weren't there at all, except to the naked eye. Then the first shot came, from high orbit. One of the black ships fired a beam of light so precise it seemed almost gentle. It passed through the Threx orbital defense platform, as if it were paper, splitting it in half with a silent flash. A heartbeat later, another beam lanced down from the sky, striking the military base outside the capital. The ground shook.
Ow.
Walls collapsed. The defenders barely had time to raise their weapons before another strike erased the entire hangar. The Threx soldiers had fought many wars. They had trained against every known enemy tactic. Meant nothing in their history prepared them for this. Their weapons couldn't lock on. Their comms were filled with static. Their ships in orbit were gone before they even fired a shot. Silent flashes of light marking their destruction. On the streets below, panic erupted. Civilians ran for shelters. But the black ships didn't fire on them. They didn't target the markets, the homes, the schools. Every strike was surgical. Only military structures. Only armed forces. It was as if the attackers had come with a message. And that message was not for the people of Corrales, but for the Dominion itself. One Threx officer, his voice shaking, sent a desperate transmission to the Dominion's high command. "We are under attack. Unknown fleet." They are his words cut off in a burst of static. The feed showed only blackness where the sky should have been, a wall of metal so vast it seemed to have no end. In the Dominion's War Council chamber, thousands of light years away, the leaders stared at the footage. The flagship admiral slammed, his clawed hand against the table. "Find me these humans before they vanish again," he snarled. An aide rushed in, pale with fear, holding a new report. "Sir, they are already here." The chamber lights flickered. Then, for the briefest moment, the massive window behind the council went dark. Not because night had fallen, but because something had passed between them and the stars. Something silent, something watching, and just like that, the feed went dead. For the first time in its long history, the mighty Threx Dominion found itself trapped. Its capital world, Varix Prime, lay under a shroud of darkness cast by the looming human fleet. The once unchallenged rulers of countless systems could no longer send messages, no longer call for reinforcements. Their vast empire, built on centuries of conquest, now felt brittle, exposed. The humans did not rush to crush the Dominion outright. They did not rain destruction upon cities or slaughter innocent civilians. Instead, their tactics were cold and precise, surgical in their cruelty. Supply routes vital to the capital were severed, one by one. Starports fell silent as human raiders struck without warning, dismantling fuel depots, disabling communications hubs, and cutting off trade. Within days, the people of Varix Prime began to feel the sting of scarcity. Food and water supplies dwindled. Power flickered in the great towers. Panic simmered beneath the surface. Threx soldiers fought back fiercely. Elite troops boarded captured human ships, hoping to retake lost ground. But none returned. The human crews were relentless hunters in the void, swift, silent, and deadly. Every boarding attempt ended in failure. Reports spoke of strange human combat tactics, unpredictable and brutal, leaving survivors terrified and confused. Deep inside a hidden command bunker, a group of Threx spies gathered around a secure terminal. Their faces were grim as they watched grainy footage from Earth's secret orbital shipyards. The primitive humans were not alone. The images revealed massive fleets in construction, warships larger and more advanced than any the Dominion had ever encountered. The true strength of humanity lay hidden, waiting beyond the stars. The news spread like wildfire through the Dominion's ranks. Leaders debated fiercely. Some called for surrender, hoping to negotiate peace and preserve what remained. Others called for total war, vowing to fight to the last starship. But the humans gave no choice. A single, clear transmission cut through the static on every channel. "This is the United Terran Fleet. You have one sunrise to decide." The message was calm, unyielding, and final. The Threx Council convened an emergency session. The fate of 1,000 worlds hung in the balance. Would they submit to the species they had mocked, or would they face total annihilation? As the first light of the sun struggled to break through the black shadow of the human fleet, the answer still remained uncertain. The galaxy held its breath. The grand chamber of the Threx Council was filled with an uneasy silence. Ancient banners hung heavy on the walls, symbols of victories long past, now overshadowed by the presence of the human fleet above their world. The once proud rulers of the Dominion sat rigid in their seats, their eyes lowered. The weight of defeat pressed on them like the dark skies outside. For the first time in centuries, the mighty Threx found themselves humbled before a species they had dismissed as primitive. The humans made no grand demands. Their voice was steady and cold over the coms, broadcasting to every corner of the Dominion's territories. Unconditional surrender, they declared. Reparations for the damage done. Recognition of Earth's place among the stars. The Council knew resistance was futile. Their armies had been crippled, their fleets shattered or scattered. The supplies that once flowed freely into the capital had slowed to a trickle. Even the bravest warriors understood the cost of continued fighting extinction. Outside, across the galaxy, alien races watched in stunned silence. Whispers spread quickly. The species called primitive had brought the Dominion to its knees without widespread destruction, without burning cities to ash. They had fought not with reckless rage, but with cold strategy and patient precision. Rumors began to surface that the humans had held back their deadliest weapons, that the fleets currently in orbit were only the vanguard of Earth's true power. Some spoke of technologies so advanced they could reshape stars themselves, but the humans said nothing more. They simply waited, in a quiet command room aboard the flagship Titan's Wrath. An admiral addressed his officers in low tones. "We let them live," he said, "for now, so they remember who they mocked. So the galaxy knows what happens when you underestimate humanity." As the human fleet turned away from the silent capital, disappearing into the vast darkness beyond, the stars seemed a little less safe. The phrase primitive humans vanished from the galaxy's languages, placed by a new name whispered in fear and awe: skybreakers. The lesson was clear: never judge a species by what it seems. For sometimes the greatest power lies hidden, beneath the simplest skin, and the galaxy would never forget the day humanity's ships darkened the skies. The Threx Dominion's outer sectors had always been busy with patrol routes, cargo convoys, and the endless movement of military craft. But in the weeks after Corrales fell silent, those same patrol routes began to change. Ships started doubling back. Convoys moved in tight formations. And on every channel, whispers spread like a sickness, whispers about shadows in the dark. It began with the smaller incidents. A scout corvette patrolling a quiet trade lane sent back a single garbled transmission before vanishing. A week later, a destroyer escorting a supply convoy reported seeing a strange reading on its scanners a flicker, shaped there and gone in the same heartbeat before it too went silent. At first, command dismissed these as malfunctions. Space was vast and unforgiving. But the reports kept coming, and soon there was a pattern. The ships that went missing were never found. No wreckage, no debris. Only empty space, as if they had been erased, in the deep space station of Outpost Avarice. A nervous junior officer showed his commander a piece of intercepted audio. It was a fragment of an alien distress call, heavy with static. But in the middle of the noise, a human voice could be heard, calm, steady, and chilling. "We told you not to call us primitive." The commander deleted the file and ordered silence. But the crew had already heard it, and the fear spread faster than the deletion. Command. The Dominion began deploying larger fleets to hunt for the attackers. But it didn't matter. The humans, if it was indeed the humans, never fought like the other species. They did not face the Dominion in open battle. They did not charge forward with numbers. Instead, they hunted like predators, waiting in the dark, striking fast, and disappearing into the void before a counterattack could even be launched. It was a kind of warfare the Threx had never truly understood. Asymmetric, unpredictable, designed to make every star in the sky feel unsafe. On the border world of Vrask, the night sky flashed once like lightning, and a Dominion fuel refinery ceased to exist. Witnesses swore they saw nothing before the strike. No ships, no warning, only the sudden blinding precision of the attack. By the time the local defense fleet scrambled, there was nothing left to chase. At high command, the mood was shifting, from irritation to dread. An emergency council was called, bringing together the Dominion's best admirals and scientists. One of the scientists, an old strategist named Chiron, stood before the holomap and spoke quietly. "These are not the tactics of a lesser species," she said. "These are the tactics of a hunter who knows their prey. They are not showing us their strength. They are teaching us fear." Her words hung in the air like smoke. No one challenged her. The next week, the fear turned to full panic. A fortified relay station near the Dominion's core recorded something its sensors could not explain. A massive energy surge from deep space. The readings showed a scale of movement far beyond anything the Dominion's own fleets could achieve. The station's captain stared at the numbers and whispered the only thought that came to mind. They're bringing the rest of their fleet. Ours. Later, that station too was gone. No warning, no trace. Only the quiet hum of the empty sector it had once guarded, and in the black between the stars, the ghost fleet waited, unseen, patient, and relentless. The Threx capital world, Verex Prime, had not seen an enemy fleet in its skies for over 600 years. Its towering spires pierced clouds of shimmering silver. Massive orbital rings encircled the planet, glittering with trade ships and defense platforms. The people of Verex Prime believed themselves untouchable. The Dominion's heart was too deep within its borders. Its fleets too strong, its enemies too far away. That illusion ended in a single morning. It began with a soft dimming of the sun, so gradual that at first no one noticed. Commuter trams still raced along the sky lanes. Markets still filled with merchants and shoppers. Military ships still patrolled above, but the dimming grew heavier until the sunlight turned to a cold, metallic gray. Pedestrians looked up, frowning, saw nothing unusual. Just the gleam of orbital stations and the familiar arc of the defense ring. Then someone pointed. High above the defense ring, something vast and black was moving. It was not alone. One shape became two, two became 10. 10 became dozens, each one sliding silently into position, blotting out the sun with their sheer size. They had no markings, no glowing engine trails, no sound. They absorbed the light around them, drinking in the day until the capital lay under a sky as dark as twilight. On the planet's surface, billions stared upward in stunned silence. Many didn't understand what they were seeing. They had never even imagined such ships could exist. But in the War Ministry's high command tower, there was no confusion. Alarms howled through the corridors, and panicked voices filled the comm channels. The orbital defense platforms, the pride of the Dominion's military, were attempting to lock weapons on the intruders, and failing. Targeting systems can't find them, a weapons officer shouted. They're there visually, but the sensors read empty space. Then the first ship moved. It was the largest any Threx officer had ever seen, a behemoth of black steel, its silhouette like a jagged blade across the sky. As it glided into position directly above the capital, its underside unfolded, revealing weapons ports the size of city blocks. The rest of the Black Fleet mirrored the motion, every ship lowering itself in perfect, silent coordination. At last, the comms crackled. A voice filled every frequency, deep, steady, unmistakably human. You called us primitive. No other words followed, no demands, and no negotiations. The silence that came after was heavier than any threat. The Dominion scrambled every available ship. It was already too late. The humans had slipped past every border defense, every sensor grid, every early warning system the Dominion had spent centuries perfecting. Worse still, reports from across the Dominion confirmed the nightmare. Every major military route was blocked. Human fleets had taken positions over dozens of key worlds simultaneously. Above Verex Prime, humans made their first move. A single precision strike destroyed the central orbital command hub, severing communications with the other defense platforms. Seconds later, the sky was lit with silent flashes as one platform after another fell, destroyed with surgical accuracy. On the ground, the people watched in horror, not at the destruction, but at the terrifying control of it. Not one building outside the military network was touched. In the War Council chamber, the Threx, High Admiral's scales had gone pale. They've cut us off from our fleets, he said in disbelief. We can't reach anyone. They don't want us to reach anyone. Another council member whispered. They want us to feel alone. They did. All of Verex Prime lay in shadow now. The great black hole of the human flagship Titan's wrath eclipsing the sun completely. The capital's grand towers, once bright in the morning light, now stood in darkness. Above them, the human fleet waited, in perfect, motionless silence. The message was clear. The Dominion had mocked humanity, had called them primitive. Now those same primitives owned their skies.